I want to know, how did Jeremy Hunt ever get that job? How did he ever get into a job of being in charge of something so important to the UK? And yet, when I look at him, I have no confidence in this man.
Have you asked him how he got the job?
No.
My slight beef with health secretaries is that, I mean, Lansley was one of the few people who wanted to be health secretary. He said he wanted to, but generally over the years we've given it to people as a punishment, a bit like the Northern Ireland office, of which you don't come back. So I suspect because of the Levinson inquiry, where he got in a bit of trouble because his special advisor had been leaking information to the Murdoch side, and Jeremy Hunt hid behind a tree, and it was all slightly embarrassing. I suspect it was partly a little bit of a punishment for that, but possibly also because George Osborne saw him as a threat, and the best way to stifle somebody's political career is to stick him in a really tough job like health. But he's bright and he's ambitious. He's got that little NHS badge he wears on his lapel to try and con everyone that he really cares about the NHS. Nobody else wears one. I've never seen anyone else wear one. I don't even know where he got it from. Maybe it was specially made. But it's interesting. I always think of health secretaries a bit like Defence Against the Dark Arts teachers in Harry Potter, because you sort of know they're going to be evil at some stage, but you don't quite get it until it's too late. And occasionally one of them's okay, but he turns out to be a werewolf or something. They're very peculiar. And I worry that they come in a short space of time. I went to meet him when he first came in. He invited me up to meet him. And I praised him. I said, if you're going to actually publish outcomes, that's a really good thing, but you've got to be prepared for the fact that some bad stuff goes on in the NHS as well, and you need to start acknowledging that and speaking the language of empathy, which is something that Lansley didn't do. And then he said to me, when I look under the bonnet of Andrew's reforms, I'm pretty impressed with what I see. And then I got the giggles, because it's just, there isn't anything under the bonnet of it other than a Trojan horse for privatisation. So I'm slightly worried of people who are very ambitious. And I think he's very ambitious. So I think he'll, having realised what a pig's ass the reforms are, he'll suddenly become, he is becoming the patient's advocate. So having created the confusion through these reforms and chaos, he's now going around saying, I'm the patient's champion. What the hell's happening here? Well, you've created a really chaotic NHS. What do you expect is going to happen?
Well, he wants to be the nice guy in all of this.
Probably wants to be Prime Minister, but you'd have to ask him that.
God, the day he's Prime Minister.
Well, he might be.
Yeah.
I suspect people said the same thing about David Cameron.
Yeah.